So Last of Us Part 2 has easily become, I think, one of the most controversial games that I can remember, specifically around a studio with Naughty Dog and the game Last of Us to then going to the sequel and seemingly being so divisive with fans that we are now to the point where fans are working to try to change and remake the storyline like straight up. Yeah, it's interesting to see this happen. Now, I am playing through Last of Us Part 2, and I'm just about at the end from what I can tell and what I've been told based on where I am. And I think the game was better in the beginning, and then it's kind of shifted to like being a bit more boring in the second half for me. I'm not really going to spoil anything here for that. However, what this entire petition seems to be based around, well, I mean, it's going to have to be spoiled. If you want to continue here, that's fine. Just know that at least the big thing that people are talking about right now, it takes place in like the first 2 or 3 hours of the game. And that is seemingly, from what I could tell, the biggest part about this. It also kind of kicks off the entire storyline of Last of Us Part 2. So just keep that in mind. If you have not played it, if you have not heard about what happens, and you've stayed away from spoilers somehow online, on Twitter or something, I don't really know how you did it, but just keep that in mind. You're about to be spoiled here in the next few minutes. Also, if you are new here, make sure you subscribe down below and like the video on the way out if you do enjoy it. Now, if we go over here, petitions on change.org, it's not new, right? We see petitions all the time for some of the wackiest and most random things. Now, for me, this is kind of up there because I can't imagine Naughty Dog would look at this and say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna change the storyline." Neil Druckmann has been pretty. I would say he's been pretty straightforward on Twitter at this point, even pointing out, "Hey, look at all the people reviewing this on Metacritic. I love the passion, right?" Trust me, Neil Druckmann's not going to go back and say, "Oh, we need to change the storyline up." But let's go over here. It says to remake the storyline of The Last of Us Part 2. Now, they have been able to gather almost 14,000 signatures, and it says The Last of Us Part 2 delivered a great gameplay, graphics, and mechanics, but the story was extremely bad. They killed off our favorite character and forced us to use the character that killed off Joel, and we were supposed to connect to Abby throughout half of the game, and the main character isn't even Ellie. We want Naughty Dog to remake the game with the scenes they provided at every trailer with Joel and not model swap him from flashbacks. We need a remake for this game because this was a massive disrespect for every fan that waited 7 years for the sequel, and we need to get what we deserved, and it was not this game. So there is a big controversy outside of just the idea of Joel being killed off early in the game, right, to kind of kickstart this entire storyline of revenge. The thing that, and it was something I noticed when I was playing through, they originally had Joel being modeled instead of other character models in the trailers. Like, it was, I noticed it at one point when Ellie jumped down and was grabbed from behind, kind of to cover her mouth. Remember, that was Joel. In the game, that's not Joel. So I saw that and I said, "Ooh, okay, so that wasn't necessarily represented correctly in the trailers. That's kind of misleading." I mean, it's not necessarily new for trailers to be altered to try to hide a big plot twist in a game, but that one even caught me off guard to where I was like, "Ooh, that's not going to go over well at all." Now, Naughty Dog is not going to go back and change Last of Us Part 2. I mean, think about this. The idea of Joel dying early on and setting off this whole plot that revolves around revenge on either side, right? With Abby and Ellie. If you don't have Joel die, the rest of this story really doesn't take place. I mean, I guess they could have him live through and like Abby chases them the entire way and she's like the main villain, but it's not necessarily what they wanted to do. And if you think about it that way, it took them 7 years to get this game out. We've heard about crunch, but then we've heard rumors about how they've been given so much time to get this done. Remember, on Twitter, we had some people talk about from Naughty Dog who had worked there that like the amount of time they're given is why this game comes out the way it does, not necessarily the talent level per se, and the crunch culture there. All of this really worked towards a 7-year project for Last of Us Part 2. they're not going to drop everything, go back and say, hey, let's change this. It's, again, one of those things where of course, creative stubbornness, obviously. I don't think Neil Druckmann wants to go back. He even put himself in the game as a card and put himself as the villain, seemingly, on the back. I think he understood that what he was doing here was going to make people angry, upset, and frustrated, and it kind of feels like he really just wanted this big reaction out of people, good or bad. And I mean, it's resulted in some, so far anyway, really good sales for this game. People are picking it up and playing through it. They're watching, they're engaging. It's pretty clear that this game has been the center of attention even before it released. But then after it released, the leaks didn't really hurt its sales performance from what we've seen. So I don't think they're going to go back and say, yeah, let's change this stuff up. I think they're actually happy with what's out there despite all the fan backlash. Now, I'll have more thoughts on the game overall probably this weekend. I'm thinking Saturday I'll have had the game finished, I'll have beaten it, and I'll have had time to kind of sit down and think about the game overall and kind of give some thoughts and put that up then. So keep an eye out for that if you want to see my overall opinion on the game itself from start to finish, because I'll probably split that up into two sections, one that is spoiler heavy and one that is kind of vague and overarching with everything, because while the plot and the story, the way it's told, has come under fire, most people agree that the gameplay is pretty good. The visuals are super impressive for a piece of hardware that came out in 2013. It's more or less just the controversy around the story and the plot and convenience, we'll say, in that plot. But let me know what you guys think about this down below. Should Naughty Dog go back and change the story? I mean, if you think about it, they did tell the story that we assume they wanted to tell, but would it make sense for them to go back just because of the fan backlash and change it? I don't think they should, because I don't think their heart would be in it anyway, so we'd probably get something super mediocre and phoned in, right, just because of it. So I think they should stick to what they did here, but I think they should also accept, and I'm sure they have, that people just won't like it. Thanks, guys, for watching. Make sure you like the video on the way out if you enjoyed it, dislike it if not, and I'll see you next time.